How's it going, everyone? Thanks for tuning in today. This is episode 11 of Mail and Hobby Talk. And we're going to jump right into some auctions because everybody needs a laugh now and again, right? And no, I'm not saying that we should laugh at other people's misfortunes, but I don't know, let's find some humor in some of these prices that were just insane that happened over the past couple years. I'm just going to go over a couple, and I'm not really going over this page here particularly. They like to talk about all the cards that set record prices, but we're going to look at the ones that didn't. So first up, we've got the Black Label, which is a pretty awesome card. It's kind of funny though, this is a Black Label, meaning it got 10 centimeters, but if you kind of zoom in on the card, I mean, I don't know. Just from the eye test, it doesn't look like 10 centering to me. But regardless, people buy these cards for the grade, so it is what it is. Black Label sells for $198,000. Now, we do know the actual top price of the LeBron James refractor in PSA 10 because it sold during the pandemic, and our boy investment guru here bought one for $273,000. So the Black Label, and I would say many people consider like a Black Label a step above a PSA 10. So quite a drop from that top PSA 10 price. Still a cool card, I guess, for whoever got that Black Label. But yeah, we're continuing to drop. Next one up, we got this Topps Chrome Gold LeBron James refractor rookie. Really nice card, BGS 9, really good condition. Selling for $180,000. I hate always having to bring this guy up, but again, who bought one back just a couple months ago? Or I guess traded for one for $288,000, and his was, I don't know if you can see it in the photo here, it's a little blurry probably, but this is a BGS 9. So yeah, he's down over 100,000 on that, trade. And again, guys, I hate like bringing up Jeff in all these videos, but it's just like he's so out there, all of his stuff is so in your face that you almost have to look at it. A lot of big cars that he's bought have not done well at all, and I've gone over this in my other videos where I just don't consider cards an investment. And if you want to look at a case study, I think you can go back and look at this guy and just realize that cards are not an investment. Every card he's bought, or the good majority of them, have lost money. Anyway, moving on, we do have this 2008 Topps Chrome Gold refractor, the Kobe Bryant LeBron James shadow card. I mean, this card was so hyped during the pandemic, it's crazy. And last week on PWCC, these are all PWCC auctions, so if that wasn't apparent, sold for $33,000. Now that's a lot of money still, but guess what? PSA 10 copy, which you can argue what's better, PSA or BGS all day long, but still it's a very mint copy, let's say, and that card sold for $312,000 back in November of 2021. Man, these are dropping like rocks, guys. That's all I can say. It's crazy. And I want to be bringing a little positive note into this. I think the play nowadays, if you want to sell cards, maybe you have some cards that you own and you're looking to sell at a fund for other cards. Mid-range, that's the play. And this is just something I pulled up on ComC. I think I pulled it up yesterday, which would have been Wednesday. Probably won't even put this video up until Friday, so this is going to change if you went and looked at it today, right? But anyway, you can see a lot of the more recently added cards. They're all in that like $10 maybe to $50 range. This is the stuff that's selling right now. And this is what happened is all these big cards got run up. All the crazy LeBron cards and the Jordan cards that were hyped to the moon. Every influencer that got into collecting in 2019 or 2020 was talking about that stuff. Stuff's going to keep dropping. Guarantee it. But right now it's great because a lot of people that joined, maybe even because they saw those guys talking about the big cards, they stuck around, and guess what? They're buying this stuff now. So it's a really good opportunity. Not so much for me because a lot of the cards that I have always looked for have been in this range. So it's been hard for me to like pick up cards that I really want from, especially 90s cards have gotten really hot. But great if you want to sell and maybe get into some other cards that are kind of more under the radar. We'll go over my mail here in a little bit. I really have not been buying many sports cards. I've actually kind of gone the opposite direction where I'm buying more non-sports. But anyway, moving on. And I want to talk about this one for a little while here. This is Michael Rubin from Fanatics, and he was on the Full Send podcast. And this is just a clip from it. I suggest you go check this one out. I'll link to it in my video here. And it's why he believes in collectibles in the future. And this is, I mean, Fanatics are going to be taking over basketball. So I'm mainly into basketball, but they're going to be taking over that in 2026. You know, they've already got Topps license. They're going to get basically everything that Panini has right now when it expires in 2026 is going to be theirs. What he's talking about in this video is, I want to direct you to this caption here. He said, cards, and here's the craziest thing. This business has never been marketed. And what he's talking about in the clip, it's not really that long of a clip, is he believes that the card quote-unquote market, if you want to call it that, has never been properly marketed. He's going to bring in a lot more marketing into the card or collectibles market when Fanatics takes over. And that could be a good and bad thing. I really don't know. Here's my fear, is that we already have so much overprinting right now. We already have, in my opinion, way too many parallels, way too many high-end releases. The cost is crazy. So if you're going to market it and try to drive people into the space, yet continue the same things that Panini has done for the past couple of years, I don't see that as being good for the hobby. Box prices are too high. It's too hard for like somebody getting into it brand new to get any kind of value out of these ridiculously priced boxes. I want to show you this comment here. This is just one that pulled up when I was taking the screenshot, but this guy says, collectibles are the new NFTs, you're already too late. And in a way, you know, he's taking more from the stance of like, oh, you're going to get in to make money or something like that, which a lot of people do. But I think that, you know what, that's kind of funny. I actually believe that if Fanatics could draw people in more for collecting's sake instead of making money, that would be awesome. That would be the best case scenario. Sure, go market it, but do it the right way. And the fear that I have, to be honest, is that they already have like a gambling side to Fanatics. It's already built into like their whole corporate structure. I hope they don't go real deep into that. What my hope would be, I'm going to leave all the kind of, you know, negative aspects of it aside that I think could happen, because there's a lot. We just got to wait and see. But here's ideal situation, and I'll put a more positive spin on it. They come in, they produce more cards and get more people involved. Maybe acquire the Hoops name or something similar, right? Sell those boxes for like $100. Get back to that and just make good, really worthwhile parallel cards hard to hit again. Kind of like the late 90s. I'll just use an example that a lot of people maybe have heard of, is like the green and red PMGs, right, from that 97 Metal Universe set. Even the base cards were something. But I bought an entire set of that years ago for like $30, $25-$30. Nowadays, a full set would maybe run you whatever the Jordan cost, plus, you know, $20 extra for the rest of them, $30, something like that. You're looking at over 100 probably for that set. But the base card set is not rare. What's rare is the parallels, and they were really hard to hit. The green parallel being out of 10, the red being out of 90, you know, adds up to 100. They're all serial numbered out of 100, but that's how it worked out. But really hard to hit. Nowadays, you're opening something like Prism, let's say. Oh, I got an out of 10 gold, but what kind of gold is it? Is it regular gold? Is it gold wave? Is it gold sparkle? Whatever other gold parallels they have, or even they have, you know, different ones that are not gold numbered out of 10. It's just too much. It's like too much to hit. So if Fanatics comes in and they say, yeah, let's get more people in the cards, even if they print more, but the chance of you hitting a really great card is a lot harder, like it was in that late 90s period, awesome. Because then those will be the ones that, you know, the true hardcore collectors will chase. They're going to hold value for a while. It will be great. That's what I want to see. If they're going to market and push this more, let's take a step back and let's see what has caused cards to become a little bit ridiculous nowadays. It is overprinting, but more so in my opinion, it's the perception that all these cards that are numbered are somehow rare, and they're not. because we're going to look back at 2021 Prism, and there's like 20 different parallels probably that were numbered to out of 100 or lower, probably even more than that. But it just devalues the long-term value, in my opinion. When you look back at the 90s, you had 1, 2, maybe 3 parallels. And yeah, they had higher print runs, like out of 100, or maybe even out of 150, maybe even higher than that. But it was just 1 or 2 parallels. And that held value. It still holds value. People are putting their money into those cards. I want to see that happen into the future. I just don't see it the way things are now. You may have some cards rise above the rest. Maybe Prism Golds, the actual pure golds. They stick around. They retain value. But all these other ones are just going to muddy the water. I feel like in 10 years or something, people are just going to have to spend an afternoon even figuring out how many parallels are out there. If they want to buy something that is actually going to hold value, or like their favorite player or whatever, and they're going to spend a lot of money on it, there's so many to choose from that people will actually want. You know, is it the True Gold? Is it the Gold Shimmer? Probably not. Maybe the Mojo parallels, I really like those. Are those still going to be a thing? Will people pay more money for that? Anyway, if they're going to drop big money come 10 years for a guy who did well, let's say in the NBA or something like that. But yeah, hopefully some of that makes sense. I may have rambled on a little bit. But yeah, I really do hope, like, when Fanatics gets in the game, Michael Rubin, whoever's in charge of it, looks at it more long-term than short-term. It's not all about making money now. It's about sustaining the hobby for the future. Make it more collectible. Don't make it easier to gamble on, you know? That's the worst thing we could do. If we bring in more breaks and more gambling culture, it's just not a great thing, in my opinion, for long-term longevity of this. It's just going to perpetuate what's already a problem, in my opinion. So let's move on from that. We're going to jump into everyone's favorite things that happened in the junk slab era. This is a pretty funny one. I had to go back a little bit in my camera roll. I found this one. I believe this is from like late 2020 when I got this card in the mail. But it's like people were getting back into the hobby. They didn't have any supplies or anything. They didn't have any real knowledge on how to package stuff. This guy put it in a Frosted Flakes box, so he wrapped up the card in that. It's actually pretty well packaged, I'll give him that. But then he also wrapped it up in this, I think it was like a newspaper or magazine or something like that. But what it was this 97 Skybox Z-Force Tony Batiste Super Rave, which, hey, I'll give the guy credit. It was packaged very well. But seeing the packaging come out of that bubble mailer and it was Frosted Flakes box, that just had me cracking up. All right, we're going to jump into some mail. You remember me saying that I've been going after a lot of non-sports cards? That's definitely the case with this mail here. And this is accumulation of, I don't know when the last time I've done one of these videos. It's got to be a month ago or so. So there's quite a few here. The first up are these cards that I've been really gravitating towards. And these are the Royal Bengals tobacco cards. And what's kind of cool about them is, I'll show you an example here. This is like your regular tobacco card. A bit smaller. You know, they came out of, I don't know, like cigarette packs or tobacco products back in the day, right? Well, these did as well, but they're more sized to like a regular sports card. So they'll fit in like a regular binder, sleeve page. They're slightly smaller. Now, these were designated T68 if you get them graded, and that's just a designation that they use for a lot of the tobacco cards back in the day, like the T206 Honus Wagner, which is, you know, probably everyone knows about, like one of the highest selling baseball cards of all time. They just designated them with those numbers so they could grade them and have like a number designation so you knew which set they were a part of, right? Because there's a lot of crazy sets. But this one is really cool. You can see here, this one is President James Monroe. Now, they would give you a little blurb about the person here. There's presidents, there's historical figures, there's political figures in this. This is a second series, and essentially what it was is a 100-card set. And I'll probably eventually end up chasing the set. I always do. I always pick these up. I'll pick up a couple and, you know, put them in my binder, and then I go a bit crazy and try to go after the set. But you had like Abraham Lincoln, George Washington in here. I'll show you a couple others, but I did want to point out here that these came out of the Royal Bengals little cigars, because there's a couple different versions of this. So that one's a little cigars. Here's like Emperor Nero. This is also little cigars. But then you've got this one here, Horace Greeley, founder of the Tribune. It's like a New York newspaper. You can see that it's Miner's Extra. So this is a different variation, or if you're a collector nowadays, maybe you'd call it a different parallel. But this came out of a different product. So whereas these were cigars, these came out of tobacco. It'd be like a pouch of tobacco, and you'd have a card with it. You bought that pouch of tobacco at the store, and you get a card with it. I've got Alexander the Great here to show you another variation of it. And this is the Panhandle Scrap. This is like chewing tobacco. And these are actually really hard to find in decent condition because the chewing tobacco is pretty messy. For those of you familiar with tobacco, I actually come from a background where a lot of my relatives were involved in the tobacco industry, like, a long time ago before all that stuff kind of went away. But I don't know particularly about this one. This one looks in pretty good shape. I don't know if maybe it was never packed out or something like that, but a lot of these you'll find online, or, they're all stained up and stuff like that, which would make sense if you're familiar with chewing tobacco. There is another variation called Natural Leaf, and I think it's another chewing tobacco product, and those apparently are the hardest to find in good condition, and I do not have one of those. I actually don't really see those turn up very often, at least in the month or two that I've been looking for them. But yeah, really cool cards. I was able to find this Napoleon as well. Came out of the little cigars packs or whatever. We've got Alexander Hamilton. And most of these are going to be the little cigars, right? I figure I'll put together a set, and I'm not going to really worry about the back, because I don't want to put 3 or 4 different sets together or try to go after that. So it'll be kind of an all-inclusive set. Here's King of France, King George III of England, King Henry VIII of England. Again, little cigars, and then not last up. And then we've got John Harvard, the founder of Harvard University. So like I said, not only presidents or historical figures, but just of the time period, there'd be some notable like political figures, or like, guys like this, founder of Harvard University. Here's another Horace Greeley, this one being little cigars release. And then I do have this graded copy, so you can see designation of T68, Heroes of History. And this is Charles Sumner. He was a big proponent of like civil rights back in the day. And this one is from, the little cigars release. Yeah, I'll be going after more of those in the future. We'll take a look at this one that I was showing off a minute ago here. This is like Kenny Brothers, I think it's called. Kenny Brother, something like that. Anyway, this is the more regular size like tobacco cards back in the day. Like the T206 baseball cards, they're sized more like this. This is actually even older. This one's a little bit creased here, but nothing too bad. I just picked this one up. I don't know if I'll go after these sets or whatever. These were like late 1800s. I just thought it was cool. And then we've got some of ones that I've showed off before, which is the Ogden's cigarettes. This is like a European cigarette brand. And I found Mark Twain. And then I found these two right here. And these were blank backs, unless you get the Australian release, which actually has printing on the back. All right, next up, we've got these really cool Masters of the Universe cards that I've never seen before. Some guy just listed a bunch within a week or two period, and these are from 1984, so I'd probably go over my collection of Masters of the Universe cards at some point. I've been putting those together for quite a few years now, but I've never actually seen these. These are Pure Foods, and I guess these would come out of, I know a lot of times these come out of like cereal boxes. I can't find too much information about these. I'm going to keep looking into it to see if I can figure out where they came from. If they might not even be a US release at all, because I have a lot of the stuff that came out of cereal boxes from the US, and I've never really seen these or heard of them. But just really cool cards. They're still in like the packaging, which is awesome. And I believe, if you look on the back here, this was a 36 card set, so hopefully I can find some more someday. But yeah, we have like He-Man, Orko, He-Man and Battle Cat, Stratos, and Sorceress versus Evil Lyn, which is pretty cool. Alright, we got the Murad, and I want to say these are 1909. This is another tobacco card. I bought this one due to it being University of Colorado. This is like a track and field, I think, or something like that. But this set is pretty cool too. I'm probably not going to really go after this as a set or anything. Maybe pick up some occasionally. But these Murad cigarettes, they're like a US release, and they had a lot of colleges that they show like different sports from that college, right? You actually find, I believe, what's considered the first basketball card, the Williams College, and then there's like the Luther College, which also features a basketball player. So those are a little bit popular just due to the fact that it's like the first known card with a basketball player on it. All right, and last up for the tobacco cards here is this one that I found that's pretty interesting. It's this Bagley's tobacco, I guess. But I just thought it was kind of cool, the card itself, because you can, oh, it's chewing tobacco. You can open it up here and see like a different scene. So this guy was feeling down that day, and then he got a package of chewing tobacco, and now he's feeling okay. All right, and I did get a couple sports cards, like I said. This one's pretty awesome. Gallinari from his time in Atlanta, and this is out of 5 variation, so patch auto, out of 122 immaculate. Pretty nice looking patch there, and pretty nice looking auto. I go after mainly Gallinari stuff on the Nuggets, but you know, I like to keep track of his career. I follow him through his career. He's of course playing for the Celtics now, and he's hurt, so hopefully he'll be back on the court next year. And then last up, I saw this one show up. Just figured I'd add it to my McDice collection. Gridded and 8, little off-centered, but you know, I don't know. I got it for like $5, so can't complain about that. And it is 95 Topps Draft Redemption card. And I believe I have one of these raw, but figured, hey, add a graded one to the collection. And that is my mail this week. Really appreciate you guys watching these videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Really helps me out. Like the video. And I will catch you on the next one.